Wouldn't it be great if you had a checklist you could use to make sure that every single one of your book launches was successful? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you exactly that. What's up, guys? Dave Jacobson here, best-selling author and book publisher. And in today's video, I'm going to give you my 10-step checklist that I use every time I launch a book on Amazon KDP. And you can use this as a checklist to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to maximize the success of all of your future book launches. So without further ado, I'm going to shrink my melon-sized head here, and we're going to get right into the tutorial. So I'm going to be showing you some websites and software tools that I use as well. But for right now, I just want to kind of start going through this Word document, which is the checklist. And I'm also going to provide a link in the description where you can sign up for my mailing list. I provide a lot of different content around how you can promote your book and how you can succeed as an author. And if you sign up for that using the link below, then I'll send you this a link to download this for free. So the first step, obviously, if you're trying to launch a book, is you need to write your book, right? If you want tips on a high-level process, I've created a 10-step process that I use whenever I'm writing and drafting my books. You can check out the video. I'll put a link in this video above my head, which you'll be able to access on a desktop computer. I think the video is called How I Write a Book Start to Finish, something like that. So feel free to check that out if you're interested in seeing exactly the details on what I recommend there. But then step 2 is to make sure you edit your book. Okay, there's a lot of people, especially first-time authors, that they launch a book, they're so excited, they just want to get it out there as fast as possible because they're really excited to share it with the world. And I totally understand that, right? Been there, done that. So I understand that we are eager to want to get our book out there, start making sales or, getting readers as soon as possible. But at minimum, you're going to want to get some beta readers, at least one beta reader. Now you can find these on Fiverr. And so I'm going to show you how you can do this real quickly here. So I am going to go over to this website. This is fiverr.com. And, at minimum, you should be doing this. Now you can get really affordable beta readers. Just type in beta reader, to start here. And you'll see a bunch of different options. Some of them are, more expensive than others. And so what I would recommend doing, is pick a budget for this, right? You can say under $25. Now that's not going to give you a whole book. But what I would do is say under $10 to start. And then what you want to do is you want to, maybe try some of these people out. And, for $5, this person has 64 reviews, $5, any genre, right? You can ask them to read at least your first chapter, give you some feedback, and then see how they do, right? See if you're comfortable with their style. Do you think they're providing useful, helpful tips on how to edit your book or not, right? And if you feel like you're getting along really well, then you might want to ask them to edit your whole book. So I'd recommend considering that if you have the budget to do it. I'm going to show you some other strategies you can use if you don't have the budget next here. So let's get back to this checklist here. So I say at minimum engage some beta readers. That's optional. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the budget, I totally understand. So in that case, you might want to do the work yourself. So one of the tools you can use to help you with your editing, particularly with grammatical and spelling errors, you definitely don't want spelling errors when you launch your book. It looks unprofessional, and it's going to raise the chances that you're going to get low reviews on your book, right? So at least bare minimum, you want to make sure you don't have grammatical errors or spelling errors. So you can use a tool like ChatGPT or Claude AI, right? So you just go to chatgpt.com, and then you can just ask them to, you might be able to upload text at this point. Yeah, attach. So you can attach files. And you're not going to be able to upload probably your whole book at once, but you can feed it chapter by chapter and just say, hey, please, edit the following for grammatical and spelling errors. Now, one word of caution here is don't expect it's funny. I know you would expect that ChatGPT and Claude AI are able to find every single spelling error the first time, and they're perfect with their grammar, but that's not really the case, right? So you're going to have to, it's a great place to get some help, but you don't want to 100% rely on it. You definitely have to read through the work yourself. Claude.ai is another great tool you can use to do similar work, right? And if neither one of those are really doing the trick for you, you can check out Grammarly is another software tool that I recommend considering, right? Okay, so that is that's that, ChatGPT and Claude.ai. Also, if you want to edit your book yourself, make sure you read it out loud and slowly. Because if you're just like skimming the book and you're reading it fast and you're a fast reader, you're not going to catch everything, right? But if you read it out loud slowly to yourself, you're going to see things that you otherwise wouldn't. Trust me, I've done it a million times. So that's another tip for you. And then I would say, make sure you have a mailing list set up prior to launching your book. So the reason it's included in this step of editing your book is because I wanted to mention that, at the end of your book, when you're editing it, you want to make sure that at the end you plug your mailing list, right? If nothing else, you have a dedicated page at the end of your book, like near your about the author section, before it or after it or something. And just set, letting people know you have a mailing list. And if people are interested in signing up for it, let them know where you can sign up for your mailing list. And you're absolutely going to want to make sure that before you launch your book, you have a mailing list set up so that you can promote it at the back of your book, like I'm suggesting here, right? So before you launch your book, please, guys, listen to me on this. This is the most valuable tool you have as an author, your mailing list. So the last thing I'm going to do is sell 10 or 20 books and not have anyone sign up for your mailing list because you missed 10 to 20 people that could potentially have signed up for your list that could become loyal fans and you could reach out to later. I always liken having a mailing list as an author to being able to press a button and send however many people, the size of your mailing list, to Barnes & Noble on the day of your book launch, right? If you could press a button and say, hey, I want to send 1,000 people who know me as an author and have shown interest in my work, if I could press a button and send 1,000 people all at the same time to Barnes & Noble on the day of my book launch, wouldn't I want to do that? Yeah, absolutely. And you can with the power of a mailing list. No, you can't press a button and send people physically to an actual Barnes & Noble location, but you can send them to a page where you're selling your book, right? And it's the same exact power or effect. So definitely make sure you take that seriously if you don't have a mailing list yet. And then I also mentioned here, consider when you're editing your book to put a page at the end where you're asking for a review, right? Just something like, hey, thank you so much for reading my book. If if you've enjoyed this, please consider leaving a review, as it would really help me out. Something very simple, just a one paragraph would do the trick, right? This is going to help you get more reviews, and getting reviews is going to build social proof, not only for your book, but for your author brand, right? So the more reviews you can get, the easier it's going to get to sell books and build your fan base and your mailing list in the future. So I recommend doing that as well. Now let's take a look at step 3. So step 3 is you want to plan your launch. Okay, so there's a lot of people who are just I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they're not thinking it through. They're not planning ahead. They're not, writing things down on the calendar. You definitely want to plan your book launch, and you have to think of it as a process instead of just a quick haphazard thing that you do. And I'm going to get into why that's the case in a moment. But the first thing you're going to do in planning your book launch is you're going to choose a launch date, right? So you want to give yourself plenty of time. I recommend from the point you think you're ready to launch your book, like you've done the editing work, you feel like you're ready, choose a date at least a month out in advance from that period of time, from whenever that is, and say, okay, this is when I want to launch my book. I would think about incorporating the holidays too into when you launch your book. October through the end of December, you're going to have a lot more luck selling books. So consider that as well when you're planning your date. You also want to think about your target audience, and you want to start brainstorming at this point during your planning phase. You want to think about who you're trying to sell your book to, right? What interests might overlap with your book, like topics in your book, and interest groups that exist out there, right, that you can market to. Write all your ideas for who you might target this book to on a piece of paper or in a Word document, and think about what those people might be searching for on Amazon so that you can reach them, right? For example, let's say you've written a book about, like it's a middle grade book and it has all different kinds of different types of fictional characters in it, and one of them is a mermaid. Well, I know, for example, that mermaid is a hot topic that a lot of people search for. Mermaid books, mermaid this, that, and the other thing. So you might want to write down, hey, an interest group that I might be able to effectively target for my book includes people who have a thing for mermaids. They enjoy books about mermaids. They just like mermaids. Build a whole list out, okay? And you're thinking about interest topics. You're creating a list of interest topics. And then you want to try to find low competition, high search volume keywords related to each of those interest groups. Now, you might only have 2 or 3, and that's normal. Don't worry about it. 2 or 3 that really resonate with whatever your book is about. You can have more than that. That's okay. But then you might want to use a tool like BookBolt that can help you actually identify those keyword opportunities. So I did a whole video on BookBolt. Here's what the website looks like. You can go here and create an account. I created a video on how to use this to do keyword research. I'm going to put a link here if you're interested in checking this out. And I also provide a link in that video to how you can get a discount if you do want to sign up for the service to save you some money. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Okay, so that's BookBolt. Back to our tips here. So again, you can use BookBolt or other services to try to identify those low competition, high search volume keywords. Once you've done that, once you've planned your launch and you've picked your date, you want to start engaging advanced copy reviewers, right? So what's an advanced copy reviewer? An advanced copy reviewer, if you've ever gone into Barnes & Noble and you picked up a book off the shelf and you bought it, or you're just looking at it in the store, you might have noticed they have reviews, right? A lot of times on the back of the book or inside the cover or something like that. And you might have wondered to yourself, well, how do they get these reviews before they publish the book? And the answer is advanced copy reviewers. Advanced copy reviewers, this is like a publishing phenomenon. Even published authors use these. So what this means is you can send a copy of your book in advance to someone. They can read your book and give you feedback, but then you can also you can ask them to provide a review. Now, I do a whole video on how to do this the right way. I'll link that in this up here somewhere, so you can check it out if you like. But the real key to advanced copy reviewers, and the reason you want to use them, is because they're going to give you free quality reviews, potentially the first day you launch. Now, reviews are critical, absolutely critical to the success of any book, right? Picture yourself going to Amazon. You're searching for a book and you see it has 0 reviews. Like, you're less likely to buy that book than if it has 100 reviews and they're all 5-star reviews, right? So building that social proof is absolutely critical. And this is the best thing you can do upon book launch to make sure you're getting those reviews. An advanced copy reviewer can be anybody. It can be your mom. It can be your best friend. It can be literally anybody, right? So this is an opportunity to use your social contacts if you have any. Anyone interested in books would be a great candidate for this. So check out that video to learn more on that. Okay, so now step 5, you want to upload your book and or your ebook, so your paperback and or your ebook, to the Amazon platform at least 2 weeks in advance of launch. You want to give yourself time, and you want to make sure that you give your advanced copy reviewers sufficient time to take a look at your book. It's very discourteous to say, hey, you want to be an advanced copy reviewer, and you give them the copy like a day before you launch. So that's another reason you want to give yourself plenty of time prior to launch. Okay, so now next, I recommend making your book available for ebook on Amazon in order to take advantage of the pre-order tool. So what I mean by this is if you create a book on Amazon, if you're selling it just as a paperback, you cannot sell it pre-order. But if you sell it as both paperback and ebook, then you can sell the ebook version pre-order style. And I definitely recommend you take advantage of that. You can use Amazon Kindle Create in order to create your ebook. So this is, I'm going to show you now how you can do that. So here I've just searched for Amazon Kindle Create on Google. And for me, the second thing that comes up is this link, Getting Started with Kindle Create. So you click on that, and then you just download Kindle Create for Windows or for Mac, whichever you use. And then, you can literally just drop, copy and paste, or drop your Word document into Kindle Create, and it'll get you started. It'll like create chapters for you and create the ebook. Sometimes you need to tweak it a little bit to get it formatted correctly the way you like it. But it's a pretty easy tool to use. So creating an ebook is a lot easier than you might think it is if you've never done it before. Okay, so back to the tips. That's how you do that. I'm going to go to the next step here. So when you upload, make sure to incorporate keywords in your book title and description. So remember, a couple steps ago, I was talking about planning your launch and using a tool like BookBolt on how to do that, how to find keywords. You're looking for low competition, high search volume keywords that are sort of centered around the interest groups or interest topics associated with your book. Again, let me give you another example. So I used mermaids already. If you're writing a book called How to Sew Sweaters, then anything related to sewing, any keywords related to sewing is going to be a great topic and interest group for you to go after, right? So you want to incorporate those into your book title and description. What do I mean by that? So again, you're writing a book about how to sew sweaters, and you come up with this super clever title, like, I don't know, that's a pun on some sew-related term, but it doesn't actually have the word sewing in it or anything to do with telling somebody, that this book is about how to sew. Well, you want to make sure that at least in your subtitle, you're putting those keywords in there, right? So like my title could be the best pun ever. It could be so clever. It could be engaging. It could be a great title, but no one's ever going to see that title unless the Amazon search algorithm knows who to show it to. And the way that you make sure you're showing it to people is by incorporating keywords that are actually searchable, that people are actually searching for, into your subtitle and your book description. So this is absolutely critical to do, okay? Definitely spend some time. This is another reason I say give yourself plenty of time in advance. Do some homework on and come up with a strategy on exactly what keywords you want to go after and incorporate them in your title and description. So then I also say choose at least one category. So when you're creating a book on Amazon, you have to choose a category, right? And and so you want to choose a category, at least one category. They allow you to choose up to 3 that has low competition. The way you can know what's low competition is you can search on Amazon's website, click into the various categories and see what the number 1, number 2, number 3 books are. And you can look at the bestsellers rank. And if all like the top 3 books are, if the bestseller rank is like number 1, you're not going to ever compete with that book, right? If the bestsellers rank is like 400,000, then they're probably not selling that many books. So if you just sell a few books, you can rank ahead of them and become a number 1 new release in that category. So I'm going to get into this a little bit more in a moment, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. But that's another suggestion for you. Make sure you're choosing at least one category for your book that has low competition. Now, assuming that you can take advantage of the pre-order period because you're creating an ebook, And I just talked about why you need an ebook to do that. I also recommend that you try to get at least a few book sales, okay, during that pre-order period. Now, you don't need 1 million book sales. If you've chosen at least one category for your book that has low competition, meaning the top selling books in that category aren't selling a lot of books, and you know that by looking at the bestseller rank, then it's going to be easy for you to publish a book and have it become a #1 new release in that low competition category. So now, let's say you have a mailing list already, right? A lot of people don't, and I totally understand that. But if you do, I recommend sending your first batch of emails during your pre-order period and say, hey, here's this, I'm launching this book, and you do your marketing messaging in the email, and ebook now available for pre-order. Click the button below to pre-order now, right? And so that's going to be your first message that you send out if you have an email list already. You're going to send a marketing message about your book to your readers or your list. But, and here's a key tip for you, okay? But don't send this to your entire list. Only send this pre-order email to enough people to get 3 to 5 to 7 sales. Okay. And the reason for that is ebooks don't sell that well compared to paperback books. So you don't want to blast your entire list, right? The purpose of this first pre-order email is to get enough buzz so that you're signaling to the Amazon algorithm that, hey, Amazon, people are actually going to buy this book. So you want to show it to people when it actually is launched. That's the purpose of the pre-order period. Okay. So you're going to just try to get, let's say, like I would say, if you haven't, let's say you have 1,000 people in your email marketing list. Good for you, by the way, if you've already got that. Send this to maybe 100 people, right? And then if you only get 1 or 2 sales, maybe send it to another 100 people, and then try to get to between 3 to 7 sales for a low competition category. And if you do that, then you're likely to, once your book launches on that date, it's likely to be a #1 new release. So that's the strategy there. Okay. So moving on. Now, you've planned your book launch out in advance, and the day arrives, right? The day of your launch arrives. Send a marketing email to, again, a portion of your email list if you have one. If you don't have an email list, send this to your friends and your family. Maybe blast it on Facebook if you're comfortable doing that. And if you have a big email list, then don't email everyone the same day, right? This is another mistake that I see a lot of people doing. So the first day, you just want to email a portion of your list, right? Let's say you have 400 people. Day 1, you want to send 100 people your marketing email. Hey, just launched this book, check it out, buy here, right? Day 2, send the next 100 people. Day 3, send the next 100 people. And the reason you're doing this is you don't want to exhaust your entire list on the first day. And this is going to help get traction going and build launch momentum. Even if you have advanced copy reviewers, it's going to take time for them to get in there. That's another thing you're going to want to do. You're going to want to email those advanced copy reviewers once you launch it. As soon as you launch it, I'm actually going to put this in here. Let your advanced copy readers know that your book is now available, and invite a review. Okay, so you're going to do that. That's the first thing you're going to do. If your book launches on, at 7 a.m., 7:01, you're going to be letting them know that, hey, the book is now available. Thank you so much again for being an advanced copy reviewer. I would really appreciate it if you leave a review. So that's going to, signal to your advanced copy reviewers to leave a review, but it's going to take some time for Amazon to approve those reviews. So that's another reason we don't want to send all of our emails out day 1. Okay. You want to do the first batch on day 1, second batch on day 2, or maybe second batch on day 3, right? Space it out. And the reason you're doing this is, let's say it takes 2 days for your first review to show up. Well, now when you send that next batch of people to your book, they're going to say, oh, it already has a 5-star review, and they're going to be more likely to buy your book. So you're creating social proof as you are mailing your list. Okay, so that's why we space out and batch our emails. Next step is, if you have a buzzworthy topic, then you might want to consider creating a news release. Okay, so this does not work every time. So I'm putting this in here because if you have a buzzworthy topic, it certainly can work. My success rate on this is 50-50, right? So one time I launched a book, I created a press release, and I got thousands of dollars of book sales in the first month because the media picked up this particular book because it had something buzzworthy about it. And so it was a winner. It was an instant winner, right? And so the way that you do that is to create a press release is you come to this website here that I'm going to show you, called PR Web. Okay, so PR Web, I'm going to show you the pricing. So they have different options here. 110 is their basic, and you can go all the way up to 455. The more you spend, the more eyeballs are going to see your press release. I would probably recommend at least going with standard. Okay, and what this is they're going to blast their PR contacts, and people sign up for this because if you're in the press, you want to get emails to find out what's buzzworthy so you can create articles and content around it. So this does work, but it only works if you have something that is newsworthy, right? Or buzzworthy. Again, I have a 50-50 success rate with this. I do not use this very often because it is expensive, right? If you don't think that, if you can't see the press having any interest in your news release, be honest with yourself and don't waste your money. But if you have something you think the press might be interested in and it's PR worthy, then go to prweb.com and submit your news release. Now, if you do want to do that, I recommend submitting your news release at least 10 days prior to the release. And the reason for that is it's going to take time for them to review your release. And there's sometimes back and forth where they find errors, and they're pretty picky about what they want your press release to look like. So you want to make sure that you do this well in advance of your book launch. And then you want to make sure that the press release goes out, near the date of your book launch. Okay, so step number 9 is after your book launch, the day it launches, after it launches, consider using a tool like Pubbie or Gemsy, right, to get even more book reviews, right? Now the advanced copy reviewer method that I talked about is 100% compliant with Amazon policies. No questions. Everyone in the industry does that. This is a little bit more controversial, so use your best judgment as to whether you want to use a service like this. But these services are available to get, in theory, unlimited reviews for your books, right? You pay a monthly service, and then you can get people to review your book for you. So I do I create a whole video on this topic as well. I'll put a link up here, which you'll be able to see on the desktop computer. If you're interested, check that out for the details. Okay, so now let's get back to the next step. And make sure you stick around to the end because I'm gonna sum up and give you my contact information in case you have questions. But the final step here is you want to start promoting your book, right? The real fun work begins once your book is launched, because then you have to start promoting your book, right? And this is an ongoing process. But if you launch your book successfully the right way that I just talked about, then it's going to be a lot easier to have momentum out of the gate and to promote your book in the future. So now what I say here for step 10 is think about the interest topics that you've identified related to your book, and think about who might be interested in talking about your book because of those those interest topics. Then you can reach out to influencers. Let's say you write a book about how to sew a sweater. You can reach out to people on YouTube who have sewing channels and say, hey, I noticed you have a sewing channel. I just wrote a book about how to sew sweaters. Can I talk about my book? Do you want to do a collaboration of some sort? Can I do a book interview and talk about how, this book? A lot of times, social media creators, influencers, they're desperate for topics. They'd be more than happy to bring you onto their channel. I did this with a book very successfully, where the topic was one such that there were plenty of influencers talking about that topic, and I did some PR videos with them and was able to sell a number of books doing that. So this is another great tip for you, okay? And if you have your own social media channel or author site, make sure you let people know about it. Don't be afraid to be a self-promoter, because that's key to success here. Okay, so then I just say here, congratulations. If you follow all the steps, will have maximized the success of your book launch. And then I provide my email address. If you guys have any questions or need any help, don't hesitate. Feel free to reach out to me at this email address. And again, if you want this blueprint and checklist, sign up for the mailing list in the link below, and I'll send this to you, a link where you can download this. Hopefully you guys found this useful and helpful. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.